Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative, and today we're talking about going to the New York International Auto Show. First off, I'm going for the media days, which are going to be Wednesday and Thursday of this week. I believe it's the 27th and 28th of March. It's going to be fun. But what I'm really thinking of, and maybe this will help you out when you're shooting events like this, what kind of camera should I bring? What kind of camera should you bring? So I have a few of the options that I just have with me. We're going to go through them. Some are going to be obvious. I'm leaving out the ones that I don't think are really workable for me. Like no 360 cam. It would be too limiting in that I would have to get the pole out and just kind of I'm trying to be just run and gun. Just go car by car by car by car, because there's going to be a lot of things to film. It's going to eat up a lot of storage. I have to make sure I have the battery capacity for all of these, and I want the images to look good and consistent. Another one that I'm not going to be bringing, like the little pocket cams like this. They are great, but I just don't think they have, these are older pocket cams. They're not really going to work for me. But let's go with what I usually shoot with and what I've shot for the last few years, and that would be the Canon M6 Mark II. Right now this has a cage. It just looks kind of bigger than it does. These have been great, and I really wanted, I think for a while I was into that blurred out background. So I have this f1.4 16 millimeter lens, and it was a big setup. So you have everything here. This is a camera that shoots 4K 30 frames per second. You can swap out the battery. You can swap out the SD card. So you can just continue and pump things out for maybe even the hundreds of cars that are going to be going. This is big. This is a big camera, not considering the cage, but considering the lens. It's a little bit big. So I'm kind of moving away from needing something like this. Now, actually, before I continue, right now I'm using the DJI mic, and I'm kind of wondering, should I use this for the show? Audio is very important, especially if you're talking to the camera like this. But again, if I'm doing something that's just, I'm going to consider this run and gun over and over and over. I want to make sure that I'm recording audio every single time. I want to make sure that it's on, not eating up the battery, not to have something else that could glitch out that is not like the onboard mic on the camera or the other cameras that we'll be looking at. It's just something that is an added step that could kind of create problems, because for whatever reason, let's say I use this, it has the little aux cable that goes into the transmitter, and let's say I forget to turn the microphone on. It's not going to default to this. It's just going to be silence. And if I do that over and over and over, it's something that just won't work out. So I think I'm going to be sacrificing the audio just for the kind of safety net of just being able to shoot over and over and over. And again, this kind of works for, let's say, events like this, where you're just going to be shooting a lot of content over a few hours, and there's a lot of places for mistakes. Hey, I can get distracted sometimes. You can too. So I think in this case, I'm going to be leaving the audio out. It's safe for me to do it right here. I can see the transmitter. It's definitely recording, so this is easy. But when you're just shooting over and over and over and I have to turn my brain off, it may be an issue. But again, this is kind of what I've been shooting with. Without the cage, it's pretty easy. But my other option was, it's not going to be a wide as field of view as the other one, but this is a more pocketable camera. And again, if you want to know how I actually use my cameras or hold my cameras, I don't like straps at all. I have a backup strap just in case to have it around me, but I use the spider clip. I'm not sponsored by them, but they're really easy. It goes on your belt. You clip it in and out. It's really easy just to have that camera kind of on your hip to get it ready and just shoot over and over and over. It's been one of my favorite things, and it works with the big lens or the little lens. But again, the other lens that I have here to try, this is the 22 millimeter f2 lens. And why I like this and why I would be considering these cameras is they have in-body digital stabilization. So whatever lens that you put on there, it can be stabilized. And I say, well, almost every lens. There are these manual focus lenses that have extreme bokeh, but it does not work with the in-body digital stabilization. So you can't actually use that, unfortunately. But for these, it's nice and stable because I don't want the kind of jerky movement from I guess if you had like a cinema camera, you'd do things after the fact. You'd work with the footage in post. You may have like the GPS information and kind of like balance it afterwards. But for me, I'm going to be having to pump out many, many, many videos. And if you've seen my channel in previous years, it's almost like 10 videos come out a day and it floods everything. So I just want to make sure that everything is nice and stable. And for these cameras, it's the same camera, the M6 Mark II. It can be the same for both. So let's look at the next option. And this is kind of where things turn, and it goes from being what I would call maybe like the more cinematic look to, I would say, one of the most functional things that I could do. And that is these little action cameras. This is, and again, if you've seen my previous videos, I've had major problems with DJI and them not honoring the warranty and me believing that they've had defects in some of their cameras. So I'm not saying DJI, but I'm saying action cameras in general. But in this case, I will be talking about the DJI cameras that I have in front of me. So the first one we have is the modular system. It's the DJI Action 2, and this is great because it is tiny. When you are walking around, you can record in 4K up to 120 frames per second. This gives you a lot of flexibility in slow-mo if you want to get like nice shots, if you want to get like your standard 4K 30. It's really, really good. And again, modular system. So you can record, it all saves on here. You can hot swap those batteries in and out. The only thing you do have to worry about is the unit itself kind of overheating. Now, they do have, and I think it's somewhere else, they do have like the little cases that kind of help with that heat and dispersing it. And luckily for me, I have a few of these units. So if I do end up using this as my camera of choice, I have multiple units and it allows them to kind of cool down. So I go for one, record for 30 minutes, then I go for the next one, and it's not like an hour of recording where it would definitely overheat the camera and I could lose footage, or it could just power down and say like you've been using this for too long. So if you have multiples of these really work. And why I really love the camera itself, again, it is tiny. You don't need to have this. It has its own internal battery and internal storage. So all you could do is you're inside the interior of a car. You can literally just kind of work this in, kind of get angles that you could not get anywhere else, just kind of work around. The company aside, these are amazing. They're great. You can hold it like this, get the ultra wide field of view. You can actually crop in, have a standard, more de-warped kind of look. So you can kind of work with this in many different ways. And I really do appreciate the convenience of these cameras, recording up to 4K 30, because everything on my channel I do record at 4K 30. So another option would be just like the more standard type of body. This one is just a bigger version of it. The DJI Action 4 is a little bit better in low light, but we're going to be at a place that's going to be properly lit everywhere, except possibly, again, for the interior of cars. So it could help with having something that's a little bit better in low light, just in case the interior of this car that we look at is just dark inside. It could help. Just think of it like this, but it's kind of an offshoot of having a small little action camera. And for me, I don't use like the little handles or anything. I usually just kind of grip the camera and use it any which way I can. I was really considering, and it's what I've been considering with this channel a lot, is how do I film this? Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, they all record in portrait. And I was thinking, do I record naturally in portrait, and then do I record in like the YouTube sense, the horizontal sense, 16:9? Do I do both? Do I just do one, and do I crop? It's going to be a lot. I think what I've really kind of embraced is shooting ultra wide in my cameras, and then kind of going with the, you know, the grid system and kind of cropping in, because the videos in the cars that I usually do are about like 5 minutes, kind of walking around the car, talking about the car, looking at the interior, maybe going through some information. And of course, you're going to clip things from that and turn them into shorts, turn them into, you know, Instagram and TikToks. So I think going from 16:9 and cropping in, it should be fine. It's not going to be too grainy. It's, you know, you're not going to get the 4K in portrait, but you're still going to be able to use these cameras and the footage in both orientations. So this is probably like, I'm trying to figure this out in real time with you and kind of using this as my outlet. I think I will be bringing these cameras as I always have, but I really don't see myself using them too much. I'm really more about, I know I've done this for years, it's all about the convenience, and maybe I don't even bring these this year. It's kind of shocking to think of that, but if I have a stable of smaller action cams that I can kind of like use, that may be it. Another option is going to be by my favorite company here, DJI. It's the, what is it called again? The Osmo Pocket. Yeah, it's the Osmo Pocket 3. This is the giant gimbal. We also have the smaller gimbal here too. And again, about convenience, it's something you just slide in your pocket. But this is kind of like one of those do-all things that really works well. This has that extendable handle, battery pack handle, which you don't need on there, but I think it adds for a little bit of stability here. But this one is going to be great because it has that 1-inch sensor. Oh, it doesn't want to turn on. This is like what I've been having issues with. I guess we'll talk about this in another video. But you have the orientation, the 16:9 orientation, stabilized, so everything is going to be gimbal smooth, and it's not going to have, like, maybe in dark cases this may have some warping, but again, we are going to be in a really well lit area. I am a little bit hesitant to think about using this because I love that you can record in 16:9, you can flip this, and you can record in 3K instead of 4K, but in portrait mode. But again, I'm going to be using the ultra wide, and I'll be cropping in by myself afterwards. It is something that I like to do, but maybe this is more about like kind of walking and talking vlogs, and I know I'm going to be walking and talking throughout this entire field of cars, but it's more like these are going to be shorter clips. And even when I do like a full walkthrough at the very end of the show, and I kind of have that as like a major thing, I honestly think I'll probably use the action camera instead and kind of just hold it like this and go through it, just because I feel like it's really easy to navigate, to kind of like whip pan, look at something over there that's happening. I like that this is stabilized, but not something that I'm really looking to use at the moment. By the way, for the DJI cameras, if you choose to use the little mic system, you can just plug these in and they work out of the box with these. You don't need an aux cord. That's what's convenient if you do happen to use like one of these audio systems here. It's good. Now, this is one of the ones where I have been a photographer for over 10 years now. I always like lean on these big cameras because it gives me like that really picturesque look. It looks professional, it works, but I've been moving away from taking stills in photography, and I've been moving more into taking literally just short video clips, you know, kind of getting the lighting right. But I always think that you can feel more through a short video clip, a 7-second video clip, rather than just a snapshot. I used to shoot with models, and I always shot with these, but I think the next time I shoot with somebody, it's gonna be just the video version of it. I will be kind of using the same lighting, same lighting ideas that I've picked up along the way, but just movement. You know, you'll be able to see and have the person kind of move in and out. It'll be just more fluid. So really just moving away from those cameras. I have what will probably be the one that I wish I could use the most, although there is a limitation with this, is iPhones. The primary one is going to be the iPhone 15 Pro. I've been shooting off Instagram Reels and TikToks and like sometimes shorts, you can see, but that's primarily with this because I love that, of course, this has the 3 different focal lengths. It has that ultra wide, has that normal wide, and that 5x zoom. I have to say, and this just may be a little bit on these cameras, is the 5x zoom is usable. It is completely usable on its own. It is beautiful. It works out to get just like a different angle. I always found the I always found the other cameras, the older cameras, a little bit muddy, and they didn't seem to do exactly what they need to. But the primary camera really does the trick, even with something as old as a 13 Pro. So why do I use these cameras so much? Whenever you post to Instagram, I don't know if you post to YouTube, if it does the same thing, but these ones, you shoot in HDR, it automatically just goes into an Instagram reel in HDR, and you get that pop. You get that visual pop without having to grade a lot of things. The blacks are just really, of course, black, especially if you view it on an OLED screen. It really does the trick to shoot something very quickly and for it to look really good immediately. This is something that I'm really gravitating to. But the issue is, first, storage. That's all there is. If I wanted to shoot, with an external, I could actually just load up SD cards and put these in because you can shoot externally with different apps. I know that you can, I think Blackmagic does a really good job. If I wanted to shoot, Apple Log or whatever the video format is, I can shoot directly on here, but that eats up a lot of data. Not something I'm really looking to do. I'm looking to just have these be extremely functional and knock out clip after clip after clip, and that's it. But again, storage may be an issue if I'm recording for a very long time, but another thing is the battery. Once you're done with this, you are done. Thankfully for me, I'm blessed enough to have 3 different bodies, so I can go and continue shooting, but that means, and unfortunately, I gave away my battery pack to a friend, and I kind of wish I didn't at this point because I kind of need that right now. But once you're done, like you're kind of done. You can have these maybe set in low power mode and just kind of go with that. But as you're shooting things over and over and over. If you only have one phone, which primarily a lot of people only have one phone, that's your limitation, the battery life. If you're doing an extremely long, I don't know how many hours I'm going to be there for 2 days. I may do only maybe 4 hours, but if I really get into it, I can go up to the entire 8 hours. I believe I'm allowed to be there. It's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough to kind of work with that battery. I hope these last, especially in low power mode. I think they should, but I like the image of it. It's really easy to point this, go in ultra wide, flip the focal length, just do whatever works really quickly, really naturally, and it's what I see myself kind of using the most. My primary most likely is going to be the iPhone, and I'm going to charge up all the iPhones before I go, make sure I just have, kind of hope and pray, and then go from the 15 Pro when that battery dies, the 14 Pro, and then the 13 Pro. And that's just because I'm lucky enough to have these as just backup cameras. But yeah, if that's your only camera, you're kind of locked with that battery. That's why, and I think in past years, I really like this. The memory, you can swap that out. The battery, you can have extra batteries and just continue to swap these out. These do tend to overheat, but it takes a while for them to overheat. If you have multiple bodies of this, that actually really does help, but they're a little big. I love using these cameras, but I'm moving closer and closer just to being all about convenience, and that's why I really think I'm just going to be going into like iPhone and action cameras. But guys, please let me know what you think. If you shoot an event like a car show or some show similar to this, what do you use? Did this video help you out? Does it kind of move you towards using what is the convenient thing in your pocket, which I'm kind of doing at this point? Who knows? We'll see. And we'll see what I actually use for the auto show, which is coming up in a few days. I'm recording this Sunday night, and the show for me starts this Wednesday, so I have a few days to prepare. I probably will end up bringing everything that I can, even though I'm a minimalist, and then kind of just like choosing what to use, but who knows? In the end, I just may just bring those phones, and then that's it. All right, guys, if you have any comments, questions, or anything, put it in the comment section below. Don't forget, I'm on Instagram and Threads at M8B9. You can email me at creativenyc2024@gmail.com. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you at the show. If you're at the show on the press media days, let me know. Otherwise, you're going to see like a flood of content coming from the show. I'm excited. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time. Oh, wow, 21 minutes. That was a long video.